So we live together.
Yep.
We watch football together.
Yep.
We talk about football together.
Yep.
Why don't we just start a podcast?
Sounds like a plan to me.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the eye test. This is boy Lyes and my guy CultureCams. We're back. I've seen all the clamor. Where's the eye test? Where you guys take a week off? Hey man, it is what it is.
The clips are still there.
Yeah, the clips been doing well as well too. Big up for BR, of course, as always, powering the pod. Clips can be found on all their platforms, Twitter, or these days X, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube Shorts. But also thank you to you guys for always showing love to that. There's a lot to get into this week, both in terms of current topics, overarching topics. I want to start though at the weekend, where we saw a game that over the last few years has been such a staple of the Premier League calendar, a game that's kind of defined the title race more often than not. But I think this game and the shape of both teams kind of just sums up where the Prem is at, where Liverpool are at, where City are at. That's, of course, Manchester City versus Liverpool. Liverpool obviously running away 2-0 winners. And it was in a different style than normal. It wasn't like that blood and thunder matchup that we've become so accustomed to over these two teams. Arne Slot came in with a very pragmatic way of playing. I think they had 34% possession. They lined up like a 4-2-4. Both strikers were central midfielders. And they just kind of played City masterfully, I thought. But there's a few talking points from that game. First of all, though, how did you kind of feel about it? Did you feel like, A, that's the title for Liverpool now? And what major takeaways did you take from that?
Yeah, it felt like a title moment. Obviously, Arsenal have a game in hand, so it can go back to 8 points. But it did feel like a moment, especially Arsenal dropping points. Liverpool go and get the result, and it's like it felt like how can I say, like it kind of felt like a closing of a chapter, innit? Don't you feel like, this whole City pool thing or whatever? And I know you felt that when it was Klopp leaving, but Liverpool went again. But now you're seeing a complete decline in Man City, and now you're seeing all the players that are linked with leaving. It just feels like, okay, listen, the City pool thing could carry on, who knows, but just that generation of players and stuff. I know Salah's still going, Van Dijk's are going on their side. But it feels like Trent is going to leave the club as well. It feels like all them treble winners are going to leave. So it kind of just feels like it's going to be the start of a new era kind of thing. Liverpool kind of closed the chapter on that one. Of course, Man City came out on top or whatever. But it just felt a little bit like that. Not a passing of the torch, should I say. But it just felt like wow, like this is no longer, at this present moment, something to talk about in terms of, wow, the two biggest teams.
You know what's crazy as well,
you
too?
get
You know what's crazy? That kind of reaffirms your point. Man City and Liverpool, in the Pep club era, City, while Pep was at the club, City never lost in the Premier League at home to Liverpool. The last loss before this game at the Etihad in the Prem to Liverpool was actually Klopp's first season. It was 2016.
Yeah.
And that was also another thing that kind of made me think, oh yeah, this is kind of like I think it's perfectly the way you said it. Not a changing of the guard, but it's like a closing of the chapter.
You're
seeing two teams,
You're seeing KDB.
That's another thing for me as well too. That felt like, this is the closing of this chapter.
You're seeing KDB, who's been so present in these fixtures, look like how he did the other day. You're seeing like Edison, you know what I mean, look like how he did. You're seeing some of this stuff and you're just like, okay, there's definitely going to be a change, at least in this rivalry that for the next couple seasons. So it did feel like it was just like a closing of that, but at the same time, it was just end up being kind of a routine Liverpool win. I think they could have even scored more as well.
For sure.
Every time they had a break, Salah would make a pass because he's like free pretty much running. He's got the runners. He'll play the pass, and it's just about if someone finishes it, or maybe the keeper will come out just, and you know what I mean? So when I was looking at it, I was like, disappointing from City as usual. Don't expect much from City anymore. Like, they're in a top 4 race, and it's now getting to the point where, are City even consistent enough to just beat these little teams? I don't actually know. They are fully engaged in this top 4 race. And
I think so as well too.
I'm looking
I think
at
we
them,
give them. I think a lot of people and pundits give them benefit of the doubt and like champions grace, which I hear it, to be fair. And it's like, oh, they're gonna make the top 4, especially one game a week now. But I genuinely think if you watch City week in, week out, I don't know why you would actually have that opinion, because they are in a very good football team. They have some players that can dig them out of holes, but they are very fragile defensively. They don't score goals with the regularity they did before. They have players that you think in big names in terms of De Bruyne. Oh yeah, they'll be able to get De Bruyne these days is almost a non-factor in a lot of these fixtures that require a lot of athleticism.
Yeah, and that's the case. Look, De Bruyne's getting old. You know, this is where you are looking at the Fodens and stuff like that, and they're just not doing it. You know what I mean? They're just not doing it. Doku, I thought, was good against
Doku's
Liverpool.
such a weird one, though, right? Because I thought he had a good game as well, too.
Yeah.
But I come out of it, and I'm seeing people say, well, it's not like he created anything. But I was like, okay, first of all, I remember last year when similar happened, people were like giving credit to Trent because Doku was beating him but not finding his man. I said, Trent isn't purposely letting Doku beat him. It's not like when guys let Draymond get an open three or whatever. Like, no, he's getting beat. And football, it's not all about, oh, does it end up in a goal or not? The fact that he was able to regularly get his team in the box, I think it was like 11 times, basically, he beat Trent. And get himself into a dangerous position. That's advancing your team up the pitch.
The whole game, City were literally playing it, and then trying to get it out to Doku for 1v1 situations. And you started to see Szoboszlai will try and double up, but then instantly, again, they'll play it, and it's back to a 1v1. And Doku, every time got the ball, will turn and look to run at Trent. Or he'll do that little drag skill that he does to go backwards. He every single time. And listen, that affects game state. It does.
Of course, bro.
Now, did he create many chances? Probably not. But if I'm looking at it, I don't know. I'm seeing some of them were cutbacks. First 2-3 cutbacks don't work. As an attacker, I got to start sniffing something.
For sure.
Oh, he's going to cut. You got to start understanding. So I wouldn't put it all on him, but I do think he had a good game. Savinho was okay as well.
Those two were their biggest threats between Savinho and Doku.
And that's how it's going to have to be for the rest of the season. Yeah. Honestly, because Jack Grealish isn't doing it. KDB at the moment is not doing it. Foden's not doing it. You're going to have to look at the young, exuberant players, Doku and Savinho, and Erling Haaland, and they're going to have to hope just those three with their youth can get them through these games, man.
You know how crazy it is, though, that, like, you're talking about these players, and Foden is not even, like, a factor in this. I said that at the weekend. I said, like, I think it's so damning now that we don't even expect anything from Foden in these fixtures. Like, I find that really, really damning because De Bruyne, like, we're having this big discourse about him. De Bruyne is, like, with all due respect to a legend, he's finished, bro. Like, he doesn't have the legs anymore to do what he used to do for the last 5-6 years. But we're actually, like, putting more attention and focus on him than a guy who just got finished winning the Player of the Year last year and is supposed to be, if not in his prime, approaching his prime. I find that so damning because for all the great players I consider elite over my time watching football, I never had such little expectation. Yeah. And, like, they have a bad game or a non-existent game. I'm like, it is what it is. That's kind of scary to think about, no?
For me, it's all up here with Foden, man. It's all up here because I'm seeing a lot of rewriting of Foden's career for me, or his talent. And for me, it's ridiculous. Like, he's a mad talent for me. He's a fantastic talent. But up here, he's too timid for me, man. Doesn't want to get into nitty-gritty. And whether that's because of his physicality, maybe. But it's not only about that. It's about wanting to make the difference in areas that maybe might not be the most comfortable for you. Like, it's for me, he just wants to get the ball on that half turn and shoot. And I feel like he's gotten programmed in his mind that that's the only way he's going to be able to affect the game. And I'm like, bro, like, even young Phil Foden wasn't like that. Like, you could dribble through 2 or 3 and get a cross in or cut it back. And now it's just kind of like, I feel like he thinks the only way I can be the difference maker is by scoring this goal, or by getting this half time and shooting. And for me, that's not the way I want to see Foden. I'm not even seeing him get down like overloads. I'm not even seeing him get to the byline or get deep into the box. And I'm not seeing any of that. I'm just seeing him hiding away a little bit, or doing that thing when you come really next to you. Give me the ball. I'm going to turn. I'll give a short pass to Lyes. Lyes, yes. Back to Lyes. Nah, that's not fooling me. And that's not fooling the midfield of Liverpool either. So I think mentally, he's not showing that mental kind of that oomph that the top players have. You know what I mean?
Bro, that's the way I said it as well too. You said programmed. I said spoon-fed. I feel like he's become a spoon-fed footballer, whereas it's like you have to give him the ball in like certain instances, or it has to be a certain play for him to make a difference. And you're talking about that thing that made him so prolific last year in terms of receiving it on the half turn, touch, bang it top corner. He found so much success with that last year. But realistically, if I'm an opposition manager, I can game plan around that, right? If I know Foden has so much success around that, he's going to pick up the ball in that, what do you call it, zone 14, if you want to call it that. just put a guy in that
Yeah.
area so that when Foden gets the ball, there's already a guy there.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of teams have done that against Foden this year. And from there, that's where you would want to see, I don't know, like
Ingenuity,
the
man.
that's the perfect word. The ingenuity to find solutions outside of that.
Yeah.
Okay, if this move ain't working for you, if this situation isn't bringing you as much success as it did last year, how else can you impact the game?
Yeah.
And I feel you completely. You talk about how Foden loves to come short and just do one pass and go. He also, you remember against Feyenoord, I pointed it out to you. He picks up these positions between like two
Where he
defenders
can't get the ball.
where you have to like literally find it so perfectly.
Yeah.
And then even then he has a defender on him, and then he hopes to kind of like do that half turn, which to be
Yeah.
fair to him, he's very
He's a
very good
leader,
at.
yeah.
But that's you're not going to get the ball very often in that situation. So the problem with me is it's not even that he's just doing that. It seems like he's just happy to take those positions up, and if it doesn't get them, oh well, I was there and he didn't pass it.
Yeah,
to me.
yeah, and that's the thing.
But that's and one last thing. That's leaving responsibility to other teammates.
Yeah.
That's almost like wiping your own hands off of
Yeah.
it. But they didn't pass to me. It is what it
And
is.
the thing is, like, this is not only at Man City, where at Man City he should have more power in the club instead or respect because he's done things there. You saw it the same thing with England, and it can't be 20 other starting players' fault.
Yeah,
It's
no.
You weren't getting them passes for England. There's a reason. You were not getting them. You're not getting them passes for this season for City. There's a reason. It's not everyone's fault. As much as people want to say, "Oh, Declan Rice or doesn't pass between the lines," or
Jude Bellingham
Jude doesn't. Yeah, no. What you telling me? Gundogan doesn't pass between the lines? You telling me Rodri doesn't pass between the lines? You telling me? No, they do, of course.
De
So
Bruyne, come on.
yeah, could KDB? So it's down to what Phil Foden is doing in them situations, and yeah, I think he's not showing ingenuity that he should. You know what I mean? Because even last season, there was times he was playing on the wing, and it was like, okay, and then he got that midfield little role, and yes, he was getting the ball and scoring goals, but his performances were also
Very,
good.
very good,
Now,
yeah.
were they vintage elite? I'm not gonna say that, but they were good performances
That won
and a
games for
goal.
his team, yeah.
Now it's like they're bad performances and no goals and assists. So it's just like, for me, he's just in a lost place. But I do think there is a lot of like people acting like, well, this has always been him. He's not a good player.
Nah, that for
I'm
me
like,
is
you're just getting
rewriting
corny.
history.
But we'll see. Like, he needs to get back into his groove next
I think
season. But
he's
this season,
yeah.
honestly, as damning as it is, I expect nothing from him.
Which is crazy. You say bad though. I don't even think they're bad performances because bad performances is like, oh, you're getting the ball and you're making passes and they're not coming off, or you're missing shots, or you're getting dispossessed. They're just non-existent
But
performances.
remember,
I feel like there's not even an impact on the game for me to say they're bad. It's like you're effectively playing with 10.
remember what I always used to say though, right? This is one thing I always used to say. I said the difference between Martial and Rashford, right, is no matter what Martial's got the technical ability, all that type of stuff. But if Martial's having a bad game, you don't know he's on the pitch. If Rashford's having a bad game,
You know he's on the pitch.
you can make a compilation video
Yeah.
because he's always gonna get the ball.
Yeah,
He's
yeah.
gonna run it out of play.
Yeah.
He's gonna shoot into row Z. But he has that mentality that I'm just gonna keep doing it. Whereas Martial is like, you just see his board number go up, and you're like,
Yeah, he was on the
he was
pitch.
playing.
Yeah.
That's Phil Foden, bro. Phil Foden, when he's having a bad game, you're like,
He just goes
oh,
through
he's not on the
emotions,
pitch.
bro.
He just
Yeah,
goes
yeah.
through emotions. And Bruno Fernandes having a bad game, brother, he's gonna let you see that he's
Yeah,
having a
yeah,
bad
no, of
game.
course,
So
bro.
there's some people that are just different like that, and Phil Foden's the invisible type.
That's crazy to me. I think he's in big trouble, bro, because you see rumors to Florian Wirtz. I think Pep is going to look to replace
He's not
Kevin
gonna
De Bruyne.
prioritize Foden.
Huh?
Yeah, he's not prioritizing
Which
Foden.
is, if I was Phil Foden, I'd be concerned about.
Yeah.
Because you've gone through all of these formative years where other people were being prioritized, of the idea that eventually it would be your time and your team.
Mm-hmm.
And you had that moment last year, but it already looks like
Marmoush is showing more than Phil Foden at the moment. That's
it's
bad.
It's very bad, bro. It's
Yeah.
very bad. Let's talk a little about Liverpool though, because obviously they were the team that massively impressed. Arne Slot, man, I was so impressed with his coaching display this weekend. I felt like to go to the Etihad and just allow City to have the ball like they did, and just I felt they were so comfortable the entire time. Like City had the ball, they didn't really do anything with it, and I think Van Dijk was sensational that game. Van Dijk and Konate, I thought they were so good defending in their own box, and I thought Sobotlai had such a good game as well too. He's becoming indispensable for them this year, man. Honestly, not even just the work rate. I saw him collapse at the end of the game. That guy, he could run himself into the ground, but even the attacking positions he takes up and the unselfishness and the goals that he's starting to add recently, super, super impressive. And then, of course, the guy that has kind of dominated this Premier League season from a narrative point of view, from a statistical point of view. What more is there left to say? I said at the weekend, I was like, I don't know what to say anymore that hasn't been said. Like, I feel like every single week, it's a new record that's being broken. It's a new storyline that's kind of being added. Where do we go from here?
I think with Onslaught, the best thing that you can say for Onslaught is that nobody's talking about Klopp no more. You know what I mean? Start of the season, any result that Liverpool get, that's the Klopp automatisms. You know what I mean? Like, oh, that's what Klopp did. Like the way they score from corners. Oh, that's what Klopp used to do. Now it went from that's what Klopp, to now I'm seeing people posting videos of Klopp saying back on a slot. That means it's like, yeah, the mantle's been passed and this is now his team. This is now, because this isn't the same way of playing that Liverpool did. So as much as it's like Klopp was there, this is Onslaught's team in terms of what they are doing on the pitch. Do you get where I'm coming from? In terms of the usage of Mo Salah, in terms of Trent is now a bit more balanced. Now, defensively, he's still not the greatest, but he's not just flying forward, sending crosses in 24/7. You mentioned Szoboszlai in the last few weeks, he's been a lot closer to goal.
Bro, he's played him as like basically a false striker, bro.
Exactly, and that's tactical genius in a way. Do you know what I mean? Because it's working. So the use of Gravenberch, who was non-existent last season, playing in the 6 and looking comfortable all year. So we have to just give him the credit for what's going on. Also, I think a big part of what Mo Salah is doing as well is down to that coaching as well.
I think he's lessened his defensive workload. And he's got him closer to goal.
Massively, bro. You find Salah in so many 1v1 transitional situations because it's like he can play rest. He's resting pretty much on defense. So he gets back when he wants to, but I don't think it's in instruction like you have to bomb it back all the time.
And Gravenberch and Jones, they cover so much of that right-hand side.
There we go. So I think you got to credit Onslaught massively for what he's doing. And
can I say this
he's
before
now
you
made,
move on about
not forgotten, sorry, he's not made Klopp forgotten, but it's like, thanks for the Klopp era, but we're doing something else now.
I see a lot of comparisons about the two of them still in terms of like, oh, would Klopp have won this season because it's less of it's a weaker Premier League season. I think I've finally come to terms of how I feel about both of them. I think Klopp could coach, like I think Klopp, his football at its absolute apex is better than anything Arne Slot can put out. Or, well, I mean, we got to see, fair enough. I mean, this is still not even his team technically, but I do think Klopp, when his football was, when he had his full team and they were all at their best, like they hit a level in the Premier League that few teams have ever hit. But I also think the room, or like the room for error is a lot bigger with that as well too. And I think you saw that in Klopp's weaker seasons. With Arne Slot, I think where he trumps Klopp is his versatility and the fact that he's not afraid to play pragmatic if he has to. He's not afraid to give up the ball if he has to. With Klopp, you almost felt like, especially at the beginning, it was one way. And sure, it became a bit more measured as it went on, but it was still one certain type of football. I don't think Klopp would ever go to the Etihad like Arne Slot did this weekend and play that way. And then that begs the question, would he have won at the Etihad?
Yeah, it's a good point. I don't think it's fair for people to be saying, oh, well, it's a weak season, so Klopp would have won it. I get the theory, but
Slot's still on course for 90-something points, by the way.
Klopp was here for many years. We've seen it out. There's no point now that he's gone that we should start doing if, buts, or maybes. Coming from like, so I think it's just a credit to Arne.
My point is, Slot is going to hit mid-90. He's going to hit 90 plus, I think, this year.
There we go.
They lost one game all year.
That's what I'm saying. One game all year, and I don't see them really losing many. It's funny because people were talking about their fixture list, and I said they'll go unbeaten in this run, but they still got Newcastle to play. But I said they'll go unbeaten in this run, and they are.
I think they could definitely beat them, bro.
Yeah, exactly. So I know that gives problems and stuff, but I think Liverpool should be fine. You should go on to win the league pretty comfortably in the end now.
And as for Salah, your favorite guy, man.
Yeah, no.
I have a question for you, because I mean we talked about this briefly, but I want to know where it sits for you in terms of greatest Premier League seasons. Where do you think this lies for you?
Greatest Premier League seasons.
Yeah. For an individual.
I mean, statistically, it will be the best.
No, but greatest in terms of
no. From what I've watched, it's not the greatest for me.
What's the greatest for you?
The greatest Premier League season for me, I think what I saw from Ronaldo.
That was special. Yeah.
Invincible Henry was unbelievable. Those will probably be the two that I think are the best. There's some great seasons. Suarez. There's Yaya Toure. There's
I always feel
Salah.
like
Do you know? I'll be honest with you. Oh, sorry, RVP. Even
I always feel like, bro, that season's starting to get washed out now, bro. I can't.
But you know what it is, right? And bro, for me, that's from a quality standpoint.
Yeah.
From a quality standpoint, I've seen greater seasons. Statistically, this is going to be the best season, and that's a big credit to Salah, especially considering the age he is as well. I actually, people may disagree. I preferred watching 17-18 Salah than this season. But
you're talking from a quality
maybe,
point of view. That's why I asked greater. I didn't ask best. For me,
great art. It's gonna be in the top 5.
I didn't see Henry. I didn't see it. I think from what I've seen, it's this or Ronaldo for me in terms of greatness. Not in terms of best, because I think I've seen better players, but in terms of the level that they hit for one season, in terms of, like, for me, it's not even just the numbers. It's like how much percentage of his team's goals seem to come down to him. Like, it doesn't feel like it feels like every single time Liverpool score a goal, he has his fingerprints on it in one way. And I give credit to Salah for that, like you said, because he is realized of Salah. You have a guy that in the final third rarely seems to make the wrong decision. Like, it almost feels like when Salah's in that area on the right-hand side, close to goal, he is going to find the right pass or he's going to make the right decision 90% of the time. And I think it's because he really understands his game so well at this stage in his career.
Yeah.
But also, in terms of just like, Nunez has had periods this year. Diaz has had periods this year. Gakpo has had periods, but they've also been largely frustrating. Let's not get it twisted. Jota missed most of the season. I feel like he's been the ever-present.
Yeah.
And yeah, I like the numbers on top of it is just special.
I think with the numbers that he's doing and stuff, it's one of those ones that, as you're saying, if it's like greatness, it's going to be right up there. It's going to be right up there with the best. And as you mentioned, that's the thing that I like the most, is the importance. It's the importance of what he's contributing to the team.
Yeah.
Like, often you say, oh, if you took this player out of the team, what would they look like? It's genuinely like,
if you took Salah out of this season, bro, come on. Like,
it's a completely different season. So it's definitely up there with the great ones. And he can end up with the Ballon d'Or himself. You know what I mean? So it's going to be spoken about. True. It's going to be up there when you're talking about, it's going to be in history books, because he's going to get the most goals in record. He's going to get the most goals in assists. What, Haaland's record?
He'll break Haaland's record as well.
12 goals in 12 games.
I think Henry, that curse over that record has been there for a while, but I think that one is in the mud. Not in the mud, but I think it's going to be overtaken. Haaland's is the difficult one.
He's going to get the most goals and assists in a season. He's on 49, or is
You're talking combined, though, but I'm saying, can he break Haaland's standalone record?
I don't know, to be honest. 12 goals in 12 games. It's possible.
I think if he does that, it's going to be hard for me not to say it's the greatest, bro. I think that that's too many records in one season. On top, because for me as well too, big up to Suarez, and I like the ones that win. I like I've always, maybe it's winning bias, but for me the point of playing the game is to win. And I know it's 11 players, but if your contributions also help your team get over the line, those are for me my favorites. And that's why for me RVP's 12-13 doesn't get enough shine, because I felt like from an attacking point of view, he carried us. But this is a carry job that, bro, I ain't seen many guys do, man.
Yeah, this is an amazing season. Me, I always go based on what I see with quality, right? Salah's quality is immense, but I feel like I've seen more quality. But as I said, numbers-wise, impact-wise, and legacy-wise, this is a serious season, man.
You think Ballon d'Or at this current moment,
if it ends today, but Champions League is gonna matter 110%.
Unfortunately, his team looks like I say unfortunately for me, but fortunately for Liverpool fans, his team is a big favorite in that as well too.
Yeah, I mean, at some point, if all the stars connect, you can get Real Madrid, Liverpool in the semi-finals. That seems like a Ballon d'Or shootout.
Yeah, true. I mean, Liverpool, they just keep going. City, where do they go from here, man? On to the next game, apparently. Next up, in terms of topics, if you could pick... Okay, this is a bit of a random one. I don't know if you thought about this either, but I'm going to throw you on the spot here. If you could pick one player to come out of retirement to watch now, who would it be?
In the history of football?
In the history of football. And this can be in terms of preference, in terms of like, oh, you'd want to see how he does in this era.
If I could see one player, I think it would be Zidane.
You think? One more day.
Zidane. Yeah, it would be.
I'm not asking for a week.
Yeah, listen, I gotta think about. Yeah, it would be Zidane, man. For me, top 5 talent I've ever seen play football. And I would just love to see how the modern day takes to Zidane. You know what I mean? The quality that he possesses, ambidextrous, like just the aura or whatever they want to say about him, the match-winning ability in the biggest games. But the stats weren't high. I would love to see how this era measure him and look at him. I see them trying to slander his name now, but that's because they haven't watched him 1 second of his career. I would actually love to see a prime Zidane in this era, playing for Real Madrid, playing for whoever. I would love to see how he's talked, because for me, it would even be a question who's the best player in the world. He'll be far away the best player in the world right now. But I don't know how this era would take him, because he's ending this season with 10 GA combined. So who knows?
Do you
But I
think
would
though
love
Zidane
to
in this
see
era
that.
though, like coaches would try and get him closer to goal, because
This
I
is
feel like when
Zinedine
people
Zidane,
talk about
man.
like, huh?
This is Zinedine Zidane. You ain't touching him, bro.
No. But in terms of like, you know how every time we talk about players, like people look at GA and stuff, but I
Mm.
always say GA is circumstantial because it's like, what kind of system were you in? What
Yeah.
coach were you using? How was the team kind of built?
Yeah.
Like you look at Salah this year, we're giving him credit because of his quality, of course, but you have to give credit as well to Arne Slot
Mm-hmm.
for making that tactical adjustment to get him closer. And of course, he always puts up numbers, but these are freakish. My thing with Zidane is like, okay, the quality is undisputed,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't know. Say you give Ancelotti Zidane with this Real Madrid team.
Mm-hmm.
Does he kind of utilize him in a different way that maybe Ancelotti did 20, 30
Mm.
years ago? Does he get him in those positions that Jude is taking up where
Mm.
he's scoring goals, assisting, and the quality on top of it?
For me,
Because why can't Zidane be a 20,
yeah,
15
I was
player?
about to say, for me, if Zidane wanted to score goals, he could score
Of course.
goals. If Zidane wanted to do all of these things, he would do it, bro.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Like, but I just don't think that's what he prioritized. Do you know what I mean?
I don't
But
think
if
the game
Yeah,
prioritized that.
the
Yeah,
game
yeah.
didn't. The game didn't, bro. We
Yeah.
had Riquelmes, Aymars, all these men
Yeah.
weren't like that, bro.
Yeah, yeah.
So if you look at Zidane now, if you put him in this era and you're basically asking arguably the most talented player to play football, can you score goals? What kind of silly question is that, bro? Of course he could. Do you get what I'm coming from? Of course, but that's the one 6'1/2", strong. Yo, forget it, man. We're talking like. Nah, anyway.
You think he'd be the best player in the world?
Oh, not even a question. It'll
I
be
have
easy.
a question because
What?
the guy I'm bringing in
Hmm.
is Ronaldo Nazario, man.
Yeah, of course.
I'm
I was
bringing
thinking about that as
bringing R9 in. Obviously, the quality aspect is unquestionable. The eye test, the glitz, the magic. But you know what it is for me as well too. When I look at the center forwards of this generation, and then I also look at the center backs, and this isn't a shot at Van Dijk because I think I personally think Van Dijk, if he's not the greatest Premier League center back, he's top 2 minimum. I personally think that. But I also I don't like when people try and disregard the fact that his competition up front in terms of strikers he has to face is weak. It is weak, right? I will not hear anything otherwise. I think I don't have question marks about how he do in the past, but you cannot fool me that this current crop are anything special. I want to see R9 against this new gen, man. I want to see R9 against this new way of defending, more team-oriented defending, how he would do against the center backs today. And I say how he would do. I have no question how he would do. I think he's going crazy in this era, man. I don't think the game has a forward in general, to be honest, with the magic and match-winning ability that he does. But also, now that we're also talking again more from this goal-oriented point of view, obviously R9 was always a great goal scorer. But you put him in these attacks now that are like engineered to get their attackers 30 goals a season. Bro, R9's hitting 50, man.
Bro,
R9 might be going Messi and Ronaldo
Barcelona
every year.
R9 in this era right now. Yeah, forget, man. That's illegal, bro. That's illegal. There's a lot of players that I would like to see. I would like to see Henry in this era too.
Yeah.
That would have been a really
I think
good-
Henry's
Henry would
this
eat,
era, bro.
man. Look, Henry eat. We got all these regens in Mbappe and Isak and that eat.
I mean, well, with all due respect, right?
Yeah,
This
I
is not
mean-
a shot at what I'm going to say. But Gakpo this year is going for like what?
20 something goals, yeah.
Gakpo is like Henry's like slower, like maybe a little leggier, like
Bruh.
son. Can you imagine Henry in this Arne Slot attack?
Bro, imagine.
Bro.
It's I would think him as well. There's so many players. But Zidane is one that I just would love to see. Man.
I hear it, man.
Zidane.
I hear it. Here's another question for you, get you thinking. Name one club that you don't support but have always respected and why. And by the way, guys, let us know in the comment section down below your answers for these ones. These are more niche ones, more ones that just get you thinking. What's the one club that you don't support but you've always respected?
There's one club that I don't support but I've always respected. QPR, mate.
Stop the cap.
QPR.
Stop the cap.
It's QPR, bro.
You mean QPR?
QPR, great club, man. Great club, family club.
Hey, they don't employ you no more, man.
But
You
no,
know?
great club, done a lot for me. Great in the community. You know what I mean? They have a
You sound like
great
Stephen A right
they
now.
have
bro.
a great they have a great community trust. They do a lot of work
Man.
for knife crime. You know what I'm trying to say? They do a lot of they're just a very good club when it comes to the community. So I've always respected QPR. Always had the doors open as well. Games over there. I've been going to games.
What's his
from
name?
there.
Tony
Fernandez.
Tony
He was
Fernandez.
a good man, bro, but he just was a bit over ambitious. Do you know what I mean? He wasn't smart with it, but he's a good man. You know what I mean? So I like QPR. What about you, mate?
Stop the damn cap,
What?
man.
I'm telling you the
QPR.
truth. Bro, QPR is my second club, man.
Yeah, so it's a club you support.
Second club.
Yeah, but you support them.
Yeah, it's the second.
Do you
though.
support
It's the
them, yes or
second.
no?
I support them in
But
their games.
my
that
question
don't
was
involve Man
not a
United.
club that you don't support.
I don't support QPR though.
This
Anyway,
guy's
alright, cool.
corny.
Alright,
Corny
but I
as
don't
hell,
support
man.
QPR. They're my second club though. But
I think if a club is your second club, you support them, bro.
fair enough. Let's see. Yeah, I don't really respect many
You know what I was
clubs in
saying for a
football.
second? Sligo Rover.
Like KB, bro. I don't have many clubs. Let me think.
A club, it doesn't have to be in the Premier League. It doesn't have to be in
Yeah, I'm
England.
thinking.
A club you don't support but you respect. It could be the players that they've had, the culture that they've kind
I
of.
mean, I would say it's between probably Real Madrid. You know, I always respect Real Madrid because of just the ruthless winning that they go on. When I was young as well, growing up, the Galacticos were genuinely like, it was genuinely like mythical. It was genuinely mythical. It's like, what? All these players play for the same team. Like, how is that? Like, that's illegal.
It felt
bro.
like Ultimate Team.
Yeah, how did that was possible?
This
Like,
is only possible in a video game.
exactly.
Like,
Figo, Beckham, Owen, R9, Zidane, like Raul, like all in the same
sneaking
team.
an Owen is crazy.
Do you know what
One
I'm saying?
season.
But you only went there though. It was a big thing. You know what I mean? So when I'm looking at these type of players, like I just thought this can't be real. You know what I'm saying? And then
they did it
obviously
again.
they went and did it again. Cristiano, Benzema, and all of that. So
And
I
they
think
did it
Real
again.
Madrid has. I think Real Madrid is one of them teams where I just got to respect in terms of how they always win, how they always go for the Champions League, the amount of Champions League they've accumulated. Also with the ambition of Florentino Perez. I think all together, Real Madrid, it just feels like, which I guess is in the name, it's that royal football club. You get where I'm coming from. And I always see it as the pinnacle of football. I always see it as, well, if you've got a superstar foreign player, don't get too comfortable with him because one day he's going to dream about Real Madrid.
Yeah, that's true.
So that's one club. And I'm not going to lie, like, they're rival, but I respect Arsenal as well, man, because... Yeah, man, I respect Arsenal. I don't. Their fans are jarring.
You respect Arsenal Football Club. That's shocked me.
Arsenal. I'll tell you why. Yeah, because I just didn't remember. Obviously, again, growing up, Arsenal were the team to rival, right? And the mutual respect that you have, which obviously turns into fuel for hate, but the mutual respect that the teams had, the battles that they were going against, was elite to watch. It was elite to kind of be a part of. And it's not only that. Like you look at in 2002. Wenger was the first man, Arsenal the first team to field 10 outfield black players. You know what I'm trying to say? And that was crazy. That's crazy, bro. That's unprecedented. That's unprecedented.
That's culture defining.
That's culture defining, bro. And I still remember the image of them all in that navy blue O2 kit. So it's little things like that. The way they played the game. It was always, before Pep Guardiola, it was Arsene Wenger's Arsenal. Do you know what I'm trying to say? And okay, maybe you start to lose a little bit more. I start to lose respect for them once they started going into that Emirates era, but then early days, like when they had the Henrys and all that, the Dennis Bergkamps and stuff, for me, it was just like, for me, it was just ultimate respect for them. But yeah, when it started going and now they're getting whipped 8 goals by Bayern and stuff, you don't respect yourselves. How can I respect you? Do you know what I'm trying to say?
You respect them now?
Now,
the new age Arsenal.
You know what? I think it's, again, the fans are a bit weird, but in terms of like how they rebuilt themselves, I do respect that, because I think looking at Manchester United, that's something that we would want to get. How to win, they're not showing that, but how to become a competitive side again, which me and you will kill somebody to become a competitive side again.
Whoa,
you know what I mean?
whoa.
But the truth,
Hold on.
bro, we would though. We would though, innit? We would.
I did not say that.
We would kill somebody to become competitive again.
Speak for yourself, my boy.
I respect their rebuild, and if Arsenal were to win a Premier League, of all the teams to win it, if Arsenal to win it, will be the one club which will give me a small glimmer of hope. Like, oh, the future could be bright with the right things. Chelsea just threw money at it. Liverpool is completely different. City is completely different. So if Arsenal to win it, that's why I respect them. But yeah,
I got 2.
and I respect Wenger, man. Come on. Arsenal, I couldn't really hate Wenger, bro. Like,
you know, Wenger, bro. There's some like. Obviously, we just went to the Match for Hope, right? In Qatar. Shout out that. And we met all these legends and stuff like that. Pochettino, I can't lie. I met Pochettino, like, well, thanks for coming or whatever. Nice to meet you. I remember Conte last year. To be fair, I'm not a huge Conte fan, but still, nice to meet you. But Wenger, man, like, I went up to that guy like he was my manager. I was like, man. Yeah, Monsieur, shake his hand, bro. He's just, like, just exudes class, bro,
when I look at
honestly.
I was saying to Sam Obaseki when we were there, I was like, I just look at him and like literally nostalgia just runs through my head
Yeah.
when I stare at Arsene Wenger. It's just nostalgia.
You know what it is with Wenger,
It's
bro?
mad.
Honestly, it's gonna sound mad weird, but he's just a great man. Honestly,
Yeah,
like, I look
bro.
at Wenger, I'm like, yeah, you are a great man,
What
bro. Like,
controversies has he really
but
done?
not even in terms of that, but just in terms of, like his contributions to the
Yeah,
sport in
man.
general, the
Yeah.
way he always carried himself. Like you're just
Still
a
in
great
good,
man. Yeah,
good
yeah.
nick as
Yeah,
well,
yeah,
man.
yeah,
Good
yeah.
nick for his
Yeah.
age.
He's tall, huh?
Man. Oh yeah,
Wenger's
Wenger's
tall,
been
bro.
to. Yeah, Wenger's been to.
Hey, he's in the wrong sport,
There's
man.
always one picture. There's always one picture that I used to always laugh at. Me and my boy used to
Is it
laugh at. It was him.
Mourinho?
And, now it's him shaking hands with Chris Hughton. Yeah. Oh my days, it was so
Chris
funny.
Hughton, his
He's
baggy
just
little jump.
so much taller than him, bro, and he was vexed. I think Hughton got a result, so it was so funny to see, bro.
Yeah. Okay, there's two clubs for me. I mean, it's technically a club and a half. I'll tell you why. The first club is Barcelona. I have so much respect for Barcelona in terms of the academy point. Huh?
UEFA Lona.
I don't. Oh, Madrid. I know that ain't what I think it is. I know that ain't what I think it is, man. Come on, man.
That's funny.
This is two cheeks of the same
Hey,
ass,
that's
bro.
so funny, bro.
I don't have any respect from that angle. I have respect for them in how much they prioritize their academy and how much their academy has kind of contributed to their success, man.
Yeah.
Because, bro, like we spoke about this on the show so many times, but just the sheer quality that they've produced. Not even like everybody produces great players, and if Barcelona never produced a Ballon d'Or winner in their life, still the amount of first teamers that they've kind of funneled through is ridiculous. But the amount of all-timers that have directly come from that academy is just, it's inspirational. It's ridiculous. I love the way they kind of go about things in that regard, and they're doing it again with this new crop as well too. And
They've given us a large amount of some of the best players of all
bro, come
time.
on, we saw Ballon. We
Forget
talked about
even
this.
the academy. Ronaldinho.
Oh, you're talking about that, but I'm talking for me. The academy is for me what I love so much about it.
For
Like
sure.
the fact that they had 3 academy players on a Ballon d'Or is just like, yeah, man. I think every football club, that's the dream, bro. You can talk about trebles. That, I mean, obviously that's great achievements team wise, but that's such an achievement for the academy
club.
to send 3 guys to the Ballon d'Or podium. So I really respect that about Barcelona. The club that I grew up really respecting and borderline fearing, but now I have no respect for them whatsoever, is Chelsea.
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 I loved Chelsea at one point, like as a neutral.
Yeah. No, like growing up, right? Okay, so I missed the Invincible era in terms of watching it live. So I missed the classic Wenger and Fergie days. But I also still, like, we were still competitive and during games, and I didn't like Arsenal growing up. City, I hated City because I saw, like, when I first started watching football, that's when they got bought and then they started adding players, and I just hated City. Liverpool, we know what that's like. Chelsea, I never really hated them. I really just feared the hell out of them, and I respected the hell out of them because they had leaders and men and like top world-class players almost in every single position. And some people can point to the way they got them and like they kind of like bought their success, if you want to consider that. But just going into those games in like the late 2000s, early 2010s against Chelsea, I always just like felt scared, bro. Like Lampard, Ballack, Drogba, Essien. I was like, wow, like you're going to war against these guys. But it was never hatred against them like Arsenal or like City or Liverpool. It was genuinely a fear, but also a respect that like doesn't matter what coach they have, doesn't matter what kind of form they're in. When you go to Stamford Bridge and you play against Chelsea, they're going to make it literal hell for you.
Yeah.
And I really respected the way they did that. I respected the fact that they were so ruthless in the way they did things as well too. Now I have no respect for them whatsoever. And I think a big part of that is the ownership change, which has directly, in my opinion, coincided with a cultural change. And now Chelsea, in my opinion, are like the antithesis of what Chelsea used to represent. They're weak, they're feeble, they're not ruthless enough in the window. They have this completely backwards mentality of how they want to build a football club that I completely cannot understand, given the way I grew up watching football. These days, I don't fear Chelsea whatsoever, even with all the money that they spend. So at one point, Chelsea were really the club I looked at across town. I was like, yeah, wow, like the grown men FC, like real. If you want to talk about real men, that was Chelsea. These days, I don't see it whatsoever from them.
Yeah, good point.
Next up, and like I said, guys, get involved in the comment section down below for these. Okay, let's stick to home. I don't got any Man United stuff around here, but
It's got Man United right there, mate.
oh yeah. Throw back to better days, man. This season, You got Wan-Bissaka at West Ham. Obviously, he got his assist at the weekend. I think he's having a good season. I wouldn't say like it's an elite season I've never seen before, but he's having a good season. McTominay is absolutely flying at Napoli. I think they ain't seen a player like him in years. Antony is having a tremendous start to life at Betis, and it's kind of just like another year of guys leaving United and seeming to find success elsewhere. Now, it's not a guarantee because I think you look at Sancho at Chelsea, and it's not like he's lighting the world on fire, but you do look at a lot of players these days with United, and it seems like they just find a new lease of life when they leave the club. And I remember it didn't used to always be like that. Like, it almost felt like United, before Fergie obviously retired, was the pinnacle. And if you dropped below that, unless you went to Madrid, it was only down for you if you left Man United. That's obviously not the case anymore. Why do you think it seems like players leave Man United and just rediscover themselves, find a new lease of life?
Honestly, bro, I feel like it's just like as soon as they step out the door, they excel.
Rashford, by the way. I'm sorry. Rashford is the one that's probably enjoying that the most right now.
They excel, bro. The burden of Manchester United is off their shoulders.
Toxins just
bro. I'm telling you now, like, not only do you look at these people and think, okay, how are they playing? Look at how they look. Look at now they start posting more to Instagram. They start talking more. They're so much more in a happy place. No matter what we say about Man United, I do think sometimes it's overblown how good these guys go and do when they leave Man United. Because give it a year or two, they end up being nowhere. No one talks about it. However, the happiness of them players, you can see it on their face. You can see it on their performances. No matter what people say, Manchester United is a toxic football club, bro. It is toxic in the fan base, toxic in the club, at board level, on the pitch. Every media, that club is toxic, bro. We're the biggest failing sporting institution at the moment in the world. Like, financially, everything. The club is in absolute disarray. And that goes on to the players as well, man. You're playing for such a big club, but guess what? You guys are the faces of this failing club. You know what I mean? So a lot of people, I think, not saying they can't handle the pressure, because I don't know if I can handle pressure. I don't know if you can handle pressure. You. It's incredible pressure to play for Man United, and it's the spotlight. De Ligt has played for Bayern, Ajax, and Juventus. He won with all them clubs, and he's come and said, I've never felt pressure like Manchester United. It's a different kettle of fish, and that's not to say, oh, because we're so big, but there's just a spotlight on you being... Imagine if Real Madrid started being a failing club. Honestly, people, I don't even want to say what I was about to say. It'll be scary for them football players. Yeah. The mental pressure it is to play for United is scary, bro, because we always talk about how much confidence has a play in football. The other day, I saw Phil Foden, he couldn't switch the ball. I'm like, yeah, something's going on with you. Your confidence is gone. You look at some players at Man United, they cannot control a football, bro. Yeah. They can't control. These are professionals. They can't control the football. They'll leave the football club. They can control it. They can turn. Everything's good. So I genuinely think the mental pressure isn't spoken about enough at this club, man. And I think that's a big, big part as why you see people like Antony, you see people like Wan-Bissaka, Rashford, whoever, leave the club and kind of find themselves. We spoke about Sancho earlier in the season. Now he's just returned to median. But at one point, we saw at least a happy Sancho. You get where I'm coming from? Yeah. Where are these happy players at Man United? Where? We don't... Look at our players' faces, bro. Every goal we score is like a relief. Like, oh my God, like, yeah, let's celebrate it to the win because we might not get this feeling again. Do you know what I mean? Like, look at it, bro. Look at it. Like, it's a dark place, man. As Lenny Euro, for example, he could have went to Real Madrid. I saw us win a game the other day. He's going to the fans. He's doing this. He's like, ah. I'm like, yeah, you've been United. We've got you. You've drank the poison, bro. You've drank the poison now. Like, bro.
Who was that one against, by the way?
It was a random team. It was the last. Who scored it?
Southampton. Oh, Ahmad scored the last.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, bro. Man was doing this.
No, that's not the game because he got ripped apart by Suleiman.
Oh yeah, not that game. It was against.
Was it the FA Cup?
Fulham.
Oh, was it Fulham?
Fulham. I think it was Fulham. I was like, oh no, bro. Like, this is meant to be a routine win.
This guy could have been celebrating a win against City in the Champions League. He's going crazy over Fulham in the league.
I'm telling you now, like, I do think though, yeah, when Man United support you, it's amazing, right? When the fans love you, it's amazing. However, I do think it's just a very, very, very toxic football club, man. And we're all included.
Let me ask you this then. Because first of all, I don't know if you see this week, but apparently Ineos, like their whole thing at the club is like they want to stop talking about the last 20 years, basically. Stop talking about the glory days. First of all, do you think that's a good strategy then in terms of like trying to like alleviate pressure and try and like look forward now purely as a new Man United era? And secondly, you talk about like the pressure and like how much engagement there is around the club and attention. Do you think then, because I feel this is a topic that often gets talked about on social media, but I don't know where I really stand on this. Do you think you put any blame on like the ex-players that are now pundits and stuff like that, like consistently putting this club under the microscope?
I'll go. Which one shall I answer first? I'll answer the Legends one. I actually think it's a bit of a cop out. I'm not gonna lie. I think fans are trying to find excuses, bro. I'm not gonna lie. I think obviously ex-players' voices travel a little bit further. However, this is their second phase of their career. Yeah, they got to have a career too. Growing up, Alan Hansen and Nigel Lawrenson or whatever his name was, and Dalglish Souness. These were the Liverpool lot. They were all in the media.
Not just in terms of like the amount of people that they have in the media, but like the way they talk about the club. Do you think they should look at it more like with a more understanding lens of what the club is now? Because you often hear a lot of ex-legends basically say like, oh, in my day this would never be accepted, and like, oh, we kept the standard. Roy Keane is like the master at that in terms of like talking about the standards that his club kind of showed. But I'm not saying I feel this way, but just to play devil's advocate, do you think they should look at this more understandingly?
I still think that I disagree. No, I still think that I think they want to maintain the standards of the football club. The football club ain't doing it. Somebody's got to do it. Yeah. Ineos ain't doing it. The Glazers definitely ain't doing it. The players ain't doing it.
Don't you think that all of that, the board level and stuff like that, they don't have a manager who's of the ilk of Sir Alex, makes it also much more difficult for players to do it. Like I think Rio was even the one that said it recently. He was saying, I don't know if I'd be able to basically like
play in this.
Not even just play, but like after the game, I'd want to just go home and like bury myself in my bed or something like that. Like,
look, it's a different era, and I do feel sorry for the players as well. Like I do, as I said, like I think mentally it's a whole different kettle of fish. But I do think sometimes what the ex-legends do say get overblown. I think if they say that was poor, and then somebody else says that, they'll make it out like that guy is absolutely ripping into the football club. But I'm like, nah, he's just saying that was poor. And I do think even the back in my day kind of thing is a bit overplayed as well. I don't think they always say that. I think Roy Keane will say something like, get hold of each other, like talk to each other in the dressing room, blah, blah, blah. These are standards of football, though. Yeah. These are standards of football. And that's just the reality of the game. Gary Neville, but the thing, Gary Neville, like,
he's the king of reminiscing on, like, when this was happening at the club, we wouldn't.
I do think, like, obviously with the overlap and that, they're always getting all these ex-United people and they're talking
That's another thing, too, bro. You talk about every week it's a United guy on that show, bro.
I do think, like, hearing the Fergie stories and all of that, yeah, I get it. It can get a bit like whatever. You listen, most of you played for Fergie for so long. Your stories don't differ that much. Yeah, let's have it right. Do you know what I mean? All your story. We know we won the treble. Like, you know what I mean? We know he said lads is Tottenham. You know what I mean? We know, bro. Like, you know what I'm saying? So it's kind of like a lot of the stories are the same. But I do think the media presence of United having so much makes us in the news all the time. I do agree with that because it was, as I said, it was the same way with Liverpool back in their 80s team, end up always talking on their 90s team, end up always talking on their 2000s team. So I do understand that, and maybe we'll start to see it with a transition of another great era. Maybe City players eventually are going to start to, who knows what the next transition of that's going to be, but that's just the nature of the way it is playing for a team like Man United. I don't know what it's like in Spain. Bayern Munich, I know they have so many people always talking on their football club. They have so many ex-legends always talking.
Bayern is bad,
Bayern is like that. So look, the reality is, this was the nature of having great players, man. This was the nature of being a great team. That's just the part and parcel of it, bro. We dominated English football. You're going to have players of that era that are still going to be speaking now. Now, I do think it's tough for the players, but I do think at the same time, it's overplayed how much these legends have an impact on the game. I think that it's the same way when people used to be like, Fergie needs to just go home. Why is he always at the ground? Bro, Fergie's shadow is not making man miss a chance, bro. Fergie's shadow is not making Maguire miss a header and they go and score behind him or something. Like, let's stop that. You know what I mean?
I personally agree.
I think we're focused. When things are bad, bro, listen. You're in a relationship. When you're in a relationship, right? You and your girl have an argument about one certain thing, yeah? All of a sudden now, when it's time to discuss that certain thing, 10 other things pop up. And you're like, yeah, but these 10 other things have nothing to do with this one argument.
Yeah.
And I think that's what's happening with us. We're so upset about what's the evil with the Glazers. We're so upset with what's going on in the football that we're like, who else can I blame? Oh, it's Roy Keane's fault. Oh, Rio, shut up, man. Fergie, why are you even there? Like, that's what we do. And it's like, focus. Ineos, Ineos are talking about they want to wipe the history, talk about look forward. That's perfectly fine. But I'm sorry, Ineos. This is Manchester United. And I know this is Manchester United don't hold much weight these days, but the history does. You can't wipe Man United's history. Yeah. You can't. It's impossible.
To be fair,
you
though,
are coming to the biggest club.
View.
You can't. Yeah. You want to look forward. I get that. But okay, cool. How are you going to police that?
You know what? I don't even think it's a policing. Well, for them, apparently, they don't even want like people talking about it basically at the club. But you know what it is with Liverpool, right? Maybe because it was 30 years separated from their last league title, and maybe because Istanbul was 10 years before as well too, and they went so long without silverware. But when I think about it, during what's his name, Klopp's entire reign, I can't remember much talk about Gerrard or what Dalglish's team. No, but from the entire wave, maybe because it was so far removed.
Yeah.
But I don't really remember them ever talking about like Barnes and Dalglish and Ian Rush, and maybe that's because it's not the Premier League era or whatever. That's a whole different universe these days. But I don't remember them talking about it.
But that's what I'm saying though. But the Gerard Houllier days and stuff, there was all Ian Rush was in the media. Lawrenson was in the media. Souness was in the media. Maybe that's the point. That maybe it's just what I'm talking about. That's like it was 10 years removed at that point, like 15. Yeah.
We're still kind of in that same bubble. Maybe we have to be bad for another 10 years plus for all these guys to basically be ancient artifacts. Basically,
you need it to be like Bruno Fernandez's and that to be in the media, bro. You know what I mean? Guys that were part of this.
These days you got Jose Enrique. What's his name? Jose Enrique. The left back. He's their media guys these days. Who cares what he has to say in the media?
Literally. But like I do think we trying to find blame. Ineos, I get it. We do want to move forward. I want to move forward. I do want to move forward. But you just can't wipe the history of Man United, man. And that's why it just feels like this club's never going to come back. It's just so much going on, bro.
I'm going to leave the Dino thing for its one clip.
All right.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it for another episode of the Eye Test. I think it's been a long one, bro. I think longer than we expected.
Shit, we got dinner to go to. Lunch.
Dinner message.
Lunch. What's the time?
12:36.
Damn.
That's we forgot a bit of time. Anyways, guys, like, share, subscribe. Let us know all your answers as well to all these questions down in the comment section below. We do be reading those. Very interested in what you got to say. Let us know as well, too. What do you guys want us to talk about next week? I think Champions League is next week as well, too. So maybe we take a close look at that. The first leg's coming up. Check out BR on all their platforms. They're always powering this podcast. X, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube Shorts. Like, share, subscribe. Yeah, make sure you check him out on Twitch, YouTube. We got a new vlogger in the crib these days, man. Yeah, bruh. Full-time vlogger now, bruh. That's a full-time with one vlog.
Full-time vlogger, man.
Make sure you check me out as well, too, on all my platforms, Twitch, and all that good stuff, man. Like, share, subscribe, and I'll see you next week.
Peace.
Peace.